Hi everyone. Welcome to day number 22 of Improve Your Chess with Chess Openings with Sagar Shah. Uh, it is day 22, right? Am I missing that this is day 23 because it's been such a long time since I have done this opening series, because I think the 21st one on Caro Kann Classical was 1 week ago. Although in the intervening period, I did do 3 videos. One was with Surya Shekhar Ganguly, where he spoke about his openings where he forgot his systems, and also with Sethu Raman, where he spoke about two major openings. One was the Najdorf, and the other one was Taimanov. So all of this was done in the intervening period. I would just like to give a shout out to all the people who are here, who have come out in the afternoon when they should be actually taking rest, sleeping, but they are here with their notebooks and pens, like Mayur Gondalekar, Chess with Snehit, Girish Bachikar, Avyaya Bhatt, Ayush Naik, Mayank Parab, Muhaim, Rakshit Singh, lot of people here. John Wong, Kushal Chess. Wonderful to see you. Ilam Parthik. Ilam Parthik says chess. Good afternoon, chess doctor sir. So many names, yeah, you want to give me. Doctor, sir. Okay, good. So let's not spam, as everyone says. Let's focus on learning this very critical system against the Caro Kann. As you can see on your board already, this is the position. So let me take it up from the first move. White opens up with e4, and we, the Caro Kann lovers, yeah, I think, who was it? Swapnil Dhopade recently on his Instagram was asked which is your favorite opening, and he said Caro Kann. And you know, if a grandmaster likes an opening, it has to be pretty decent. It can't be bad. d5 and the advance variation. So we looked at knight c3 already. We have seen it. We analyzed it in the previous video. Now we are looking at the move e5. Okay. So my question to all of you is, what would you play here as black? So let me know. My idea with today's session is not to fill you up with hundreds of different openings, like, oh, this is the line, this is very theoretical, but my aim is to build up your feel for this opening, so you understand that, okay, this move should be right over here, this is the move that should be played. And if I can build that feel into you, then you will do the next work will be done anyway by you. Like, you will do your research and you will find some of the intricate systems. So the question to you was, what should black play in this position? Let me see if you have been able to respond to that. Yes, bishop f5 is the main move here. Very good. Bishop f5 is what I recommend today. By the way, there is a move c5, and I will recommend you to look at a video by Nubair Shah Sheikh, who's created it for chessbaseindia, and you can check it out. He speaks about this line on our channel. It's an interesting system. It's a pawn sacrifice, and you play it dynamically, like you play here, and then there are moves like knight c6 or e6, and there are many possibilities. You need to have a look at them. But my point is that I want to play e6 and solidify my structure, but I don't want the passive bishop on c8. So I'm going to put my bishop out on f5 and then play e6 when my structure is very solid. So this is exactly what all of you have suggested. Now, this is, I think, the critical moment in the game, like critical position, which we should talk about a bit. And the main line, which I'm going to discuss in some detail tomorrow, is knight f3, e6 and bishop e2. also known as the short variation after Nigel Short, I think. This variation is something which has become the main line. So if you're going to play this, you should know what to do against knight f3 bishop e2. But we will discuss a bit today and majorly tomorrow. But apart from this, there are other systems which are knight c3. I checked out a game on this in the introduction. If you remember, e6, I think it was g4, bishop g6. Do you remember this game against Robert Weder? I have already discussed. So knight c3 is a very aggressive move. It's known as the Shirov system, and it's also an anti-positional move because you want to go c5 in this position later on after e6, and white puts his knight on c3 when actually he would want to solidify his structure. So it's a very dynamic move, and at the same time he wants to start pushing his kingside pawns. So this is one move here. The other move, which is very important nowadays, is h4, and my general reaction always to h4 has been to meet it with h5. And the way I look at it is, when white plays the knight c3 variation, de, knight e4, bishop f5, what has happened is, because you exchange the pawns on e4, white has got the space advantage, but it's not as much. So when he goes h4 in this position, I'm going to play h6. I don't feel so much space crunch in my position. So h6 is fine. But when my opponent has played the move e5 here, I'm already feeling the space crunch, and so when he goes h4, I'm going to meet it with h5. Okay. So this is h4, h5 is another main position. The other line is g4 here, which is quite an important system. And here I would say we will discuss this also with a few examples. Very interesting move. And I don't know. I mean, in general, knight d2 is another option, but usually it transposes because white then later goes knight f3, bishop e2. So it does have some independent significance, but not much. I think that just about covers everything that we want to see. Okay. So now let's try to first begin with one game. Some exciting games that we will look at today. One of my favorite systems is the advance, because I think I've scored very heavily against it. I don't know why. It's just that when my opponent takes space and I'm able to counter attack, I play better chess. I don't know, like it just feels like it. So I'm going to start off with one of the most fun lines in this variation, which is g4. So my question to you is, your opponent has played the move g4. You don't know anything about this opening. What will you play here? What's your move? This is black to move. What should black play in this position after g4? Yeah, c4 is also possible, Shivai, but it's not. I mean, you can always play e6 and then it will transpose to some line. Yeah, a lot of strong players here. Omkar Chakradev says, if you play in Mumbai, you will face BD3 80% of the times. Really? Okay. I did face BD3 once, I think recently. I'll also talk about that move. But in general, I don't see BD3 as such a big problem. You know, we'll talk about it as well, very briefly. Okay, so g4 is played in this position. And now I can just retreat my bishop to g6. But what I want to do is I want to insert the move bishop e4, and this will become logically sound once you understand why. Because he has to play f3, and once he plays f3, you just move the bishop back to g6. Of course, move like knight f3 makes no real sense, and you can just go e6 and later on play h5. It's going to be pretty good for you. So f3, bishop g6, and here my opponent, he was around 70-year-old player, it seemed. His name was Liznichuk. He's from Ukraine. I played him in Bulgaria. He played the move h4. Now, what do you do here? Black to play. How do you respond here? Black to move. I want you to understand this opening. So I'm going to ask you some questions. White is trying to take space, okay? You need to fight back. You don't want your bishop to get trapped. Quality 959. Very good answer. Good job. Who else? Who else? Chess with Snehit. h6. Harsh Jani. f6. No. Turkey TT0 is correct. Kushal Chess. Very good. Abhirami Nadar. Nice. Pranay Sharma. Dasharati. Praveen Soni. McMohan. No. All those who are saying h6 here, it's slightly passive, this move. And then after h5, bishop h7, kind of being pushed back. So I want to fight with the space, and I played the move h5 here. And this is common. Whenever, I think it's safe enough to say that in advanced Caro Kann, whenever white plays h4, you meet it with h5. Okay. Now e6 was played by my opponent in this position. And once again now, tough decisions for you guys, because all those who do not know the Caro Kann will have to think what to do. Why is he giving me a free pawn? Can I not just take the pawn? What should black play here? Black to move. Alvin Lee, should we create a database where we put in all the lines that you recommend? Yes, Alvin, that would be nice. But you know what you should do? You should listen to this lecture. You should try to give all the answers. Be interactive. Then when it's over, you replay this lecture and then put in all the lines. And then you analyze them further. I may have also made some mistakes. Try to correct them. Try to find new ideas, plans, patterns. And that's how you become an expert in this opening. Okay. Vrashank Chauhan, good job. Quality 959, very good. So all those who recommend the move queen to d6, excellent job. It seems like quite a silly move, but now you see why I had actually inserted the move bishop e4 to provoke f3, and now queen can move to g3 and give a check. So that's the very key point. And also, in such positions, you're threatening to take this pawn on e6. All those who said f into e6, the problem is not as such that it's bad or losing move, but after, let's say, bd3, queen d3, what happens is that your bishop on f8 becomes passive. At the same time, there are threats like queen g6. I think this position is playable. It's not bad. I mean, I can go queen d6, king d8, king c7. It seems fine. But just directly without taking the pawn is much better. Queen d6. Okay. Yeah, knight f6 is also recommended by some people. But I think after g5, you have a serious question as to where your knight will go. I mean, I don't see a place for it. Do you? Like knight h7 or knight g8 back looks pretty dismal. I mean, you're just low on space. So, queen d6, he took, bishop takes. And now came the move knight e2. So he wants to play bishop f4 and attack my queen. And so I played the move over here, knight to d7. I think later on when I checked with the engine, it seems like hg4, fg4, and now knight d7 is a much more accurate way to play. That's what the engines recommend. Although I was always playing knight d7 in this position, because what engines don't like is that knight d7 can be met with g5 here. But I'm not so sure. I mean, first of all, e5 looks like a decent move here, and on the other hand, even g6 followed by bishop g7 is not so bad. So I don't think nd7 is a bad move. But if you get this position, just take on g4, fg4, and now knight d7. And let's say your opponent goes bishop f4, then you can play e5, de, knight e5, and now threats of knight f3 check are in the air. So let's say he goes rook h3. How do you kind of continue the play here? Black to move. See, the threat is rook e3, also some problems here. How do you solve all of them? So what do you think should black play? Queen f6. Okay, that seems okay. Queen b4. I don't know, just c3 seems fine. Long castle, yes, that's not a bad move. I would say long castle is the most logical move in this position. And then if he plays something like rook e3, you already can just give a check over here and then pick up the b2 pawn. You have nothing to worry about. I think long castle is a very strong move. The move that engines recommend here, which may be very difficult for humans to play, is the move g5. And the idea is that if you play hg, then I can take bishop h3 and long castle with later on knight f3 ideas. But if he takes bishop g5, then the pin is broken and I can just develop with bishop e7. And let's just assume he takes, then you develop more, and this is just completely better position for black. You know, I'm going to castle long, I'm going to play knight g6 later. These pawns are weak. I don't see how white is going to survive this. Okay. Oh yeah, if you said g5, fantastic job, fantastic. I didn't check the chat closely, but g5 is very strong. Yeah, I mean, if you play queen b4 check here, also possible, but let's say after c3, queen b2, knight d2, this is exactly what white wants. A messy position with e5 hanging now, rook b1 in the air, too many problems. There are certain people who are here to just spoil the chat and make it as bad as possible, and I would say that those people should be completely removed from here, and so I would ban them, you know, from this channel. It doesn't matter to me if I lose a user or so. It's more important that all those who are come here to learn something do get useful thing out of it. So as you can see now, knight e2, you go hg, fg and knight d7 with the idea of e5 and then long castle, and you quickly develop your pieces. This seems pretty fine. the funny thing is, I thought I will never ever face this line ever again, but I did once more. And I think again, I mean, it was easy points both the times. I played it once in Albena Open in Bulgaria, and the second time in Badalona Open in Spain. So now we go to more serious lines. This one is my game against Kiran Manisha Mohanty, and I think it's one of my very nice games. Kiran Manisha Mohanty is a WGM and a pretty strong player herself, and she went e4, c6, d4, d5, e5, and I played bishop f5. She went h4. Now you know what's the move here. Yeah, h4. What should black play? I'm still going to ask you. Black to move. Pranav Patil, thank you so much. You are a CA and you're also on this channel, so you're also pursuing your passion to some extent. Black to move here. Yeah, IM is 2400, WGM you title you get at 2300. So that's the difference. Yeah, h5, absolutely right. All those who have now understood the advanced system will play h5. My opponent played c4 here, and I went for the move e6. So you see, I've put my bishop out, and then I have built up this nice center. nc3. And now, how do you develop here? That is the question. Black to move. What should you play here? Black to play. Just try to look at this position. These are simple moves, but still, when you think about them, you're already learning faster than just listening to me. Okay, Sumed has chess class right now, so cannot attend. No problem. Well, bishop b4 is not a bad move, but here it makes sense to so you have a choice between knight d7 and knight e7. Actually, it's not easy. Also, bishop b4 is not at all a bad move to develop, but I like to develop my knight, and knight e7 makes a lot of sense to me because assume he takes here. I really want to take with a knight and exchange a few pieces. So for example, if I play knight d7, I assume that cd5 means that I must take back with the c pawn. When my knight can no longer jump to c6, that's fine, I understand. But at the same time, I haven't been able to exchange pieces and I'm a little bit low on space. So I always feel that when my opponent plays c4 in a position, my first reaction should be knight e7. Okay, that seems important here. Now bishop g5. This move actually pins the knight over here, and you begin to think that white wants to take on d5 once again, because ed5 is never really a good move for yourself. It gives white kind of a very strong pawn on e5. You want to take on with the c pawn, but better is you want to take on d5 with the knight. So here I decided to take the pawn on c4. Okay, she took, and now knight to d7 in this position. Now the main move here, main move for white, is knight g2 always, and we are going to check out that later. But Kiran played the move knight to f3. Now I don't like this move so much. Knight on f3 is misplaced, in my opinion. It should go from e2 to g3. Sorry, wrong arrows. Knight e2 to g3. It would have been a nice square. But knight f3. What should black play here? Black to move. How to continue if white plays c5? Okay. First of all, c5 makes absolutely no sense in many of the positions. But for example, let's say here, if you talk about c5, then I think you can attack the center already with b6. b4, if he tries to hold it, you go a5, and he can't do a3 because the rook is hanging and you will be able to destruct this queen side. Okay, so knight f3. Coming back, what should black play? Very good. Turkey TT0 is a strong player. Yeah, Avyaya Bhatt, well done, Avyaya. Rahil Agrawal, excellent. Mayur, yeah. So the main move here, as been mentioned, is f6, and I think this is the move. It may seem like it's black is playing really, like, look at his pieces. Oh my god, they are so passive, and he's weakening his structure. But this is what I find very beautiful about the Caro Kann, and I'll tell you what exactly it is after the move ef, which is kind of necessary, because otherwise you have trouble on e5. Actually, I don't know the main move here. I mean, there are not many games, but ef, gf, and in the game she played bishop e3, and now you see the point. Knight to b6 attacks the bishop. The bishop went back to d3, and now I play queen d7, and you will see that black's position is really very nice. Knight defends the bishop, the other knight is ready to jump on d5, the bishop could go to h6 if required, and I can long castle. And it's very difficult to take advantage of the position for white. Imagine I'm thinking of a move like knight e4 looking at the f6 square, then I can just jump with knight d5 defending it, and everything looks good. So queen e2, and I long castle, knight e d5, and many times you are just not afraid of these doubled pawns, because once you get the doubled pawns, you have the threat of f4. Your also rook is coming to g8, bishop d6. It's completely good position for black. bd2 was played, and now I took on c3, bishop c3, and put the other knight here. bd2, bd6, rook h e1, rook d g8, and g3, and now came a very strong move. I will leave it up to you to find this one. Black to move. What do you do? Black to move. Akshay Mohan, thank you so much for joining after a long test. Yeah, 3-hour long test. Good. Sanal Joy, e6 may not be weak as such because there are other weaknesses in the position. And secondly, I'm never going to try and exchange it here on d3 because I want him to take. And then I take ef5, then there's no weakness. So I don't see e6 as a weakness. By the way, this game is not an opening theory, so I just made a few moves quickly and we come to the critical moment. Black to move. Good job, Abhirani Nadar. Ilam Parthi, good move. Turkey TT. Yes, all those who said the move bishop g4, well done, excellent. And now this pin is so irritating because the e3 square is controlled by the knight. This is going to be big trouble. She went bishop e4, I went bishop c7, king b1, f5. Because now if you take here, I'll just simply take with the queen and f3 is hanging. So bishop c2, rook f8 was played. The idea is to play f4. I think all these moves were very nice and subtle. Rook f8, rook c1, f4, takes, knight takes, bishop takes, rook d1, and now bishop c7, bishop e4, rook f4. The other rook. This pin actually completely destroyed her position. Queen f7, and then knight g5. I took on d1, knight f7, bg4. Pin is gone, but she loses a pawn, and then later on also the h4 pawn fell, and this was a nice win. Okay, so that was about that. But then I faced some stronger opponents in this, not strength wise but well prepared, and one of the important games was against Aditya Udeshi in this line, who is an IM, and I think it was an important game that I played. Let's quickly go through the opening moves so that it's etched in your mind. e4 c6, d4 d5, e5, bishop f5, h4, we know it, we have to meet it with h5, c4, e6, knight c3. Once again, a question to you: what should black play? We have discussed this, yeah, like when the knight pawn is on c4, knight c3, white is often threatening, wants to take here. What would be a good move for black to move? How should black continue here? Pratyush Das, we are not going to go deep in theory. I want to make you understand the concepts. Once you understand the concepts, you will be able to learn theory anytime. Very good. Everyone is attentive. No one is sleeping. Knight e7. Excellent job, guys. Very good. Knight e7, bishop g5. And now many people quickly play knight d7, which I think is a mistake because of cd. And now if you play cd, how should white win the game? Good to know these things, these little things. White to move and win. You see this knight is pinned over here. That's the reason why I had to take with the pawn. Now ed5 is relatively better, although still white has a clear edge. Now in this position the pawns are pretty strong, but cd5 looks okay. Next move I can move my queen maybe somewhere. Queen b6, knight c6, that's the plan, but it loses instantly. White to move. What's the problem? Yes, Amit Roy, very good Amit. Quality 959, excellent. Turkey TT0, Nihilesh. Ilam Parthi, well done. Kushal Chess, excellent. Abhirami Nadar, Sonali Tiwari, not f5 Sonali, that how f5? Yeah, knight b5 is just killer move. Just no way to stop this. Remember this in your mind, like it should be so clearly imprinted, because now if you go check, then I just go back, attack your queen, and next move knight d6 check, f7 hangs, maybe b7 hang. It's just a massacre, complete massacre. So here it's important to first start with dc4. By the way, also possible is queen b6 if you like it. It's not a bad move. I have always opted for dc4 here, but I think queen b6 is not bad. dc4, bishop c4, and now knight to d7. And I want to play f6, and as we saw in the last game, Kiran played knight f3, which I did not like so much. Knight e2 is played by Aditya, and here I went f6. As we already know, this is an important break. He took, I took back, he played bishop e3, and now you play your knight to b6, just controlling the d5 square. Now usually white has two moves, one is bishop b3 and bishop d3. I think there are two games which I would like to tell of Karpov in this position, because he has, and you should note it down, because these two games will give you a very good idea of how black should play. So Karpov, John Nunn versus Karpov, this was played in 1995, saw bishop d3 in this position. Okay, John Nunn versus Karpov, bishop d3. So please study that game. And bishop b3 was the game Magam Battles, Magem, Magam Battles. He is from Spain, he's a GM. That game saw bishop b3 against Karpov. So both games were played by Karpov, and it's a good move. It's a good opening. So now, after knight b6, bishop d3, I continued with the flexible queen d7, looking for long castle, and Aditya played the move knight to f4, and he wants to pick up my pawn on h5 here. And I really wasn't too worried about that pawn as such, and I played the move long castle, which is a very nice move, I think a very strong move. And here he played the move bishop e2. Now it might seem like I'm losing a pawn, but as we have discussed often, like in my today's morning session also, chess is about time, material and quality. Although white will get a material here, white will win a pawn, what he will lose out is on time. He's wasting so much time. So I went knight d5, good move, knight into h5, and here might be a good moment to actually put your thinking hat on and think, what is it that black should do in this position? Black to play. Whenever your opponent plays very aggressively, you should try and, tries to win material, you should try to play aggressively. So here, black to move. Yeah, black has a lot of compensation. So I have enabled slow mode in this chat right now. So it means that for every message that you write, you will need to wait for 15 seconds to write your next message. So please be careful when you are writing your moves. You can't write it back to back. Okay. So slow mode is on. It's the first time I'm doing that. Try to think. Very good answers by Suryansh Verma, John Wong, Alvin Lee. Very good. Knight into e3 is definitely a good move. Knight into e3 is not at all bad. But very strong move, because after fe3, there is a constant ideas of e4 in the position. So better is to begin with this move e5. And all those who said e5, very good. The point is that after de, you want to move your queen away, let's say somewhere to f7. And now you're threatening knight takes e3. And the point being that the queen here doesn't have too many good squares to go to. Like if you go queen b3, I have bishop e6. now threatening once again. Here if you go to c2, I will take on e3, fe3, and just rook h5. So overall, queen f7, the idea of e5 is to open it up, put your queen on f7, and then d5 is hanging, h5 is hanging, and so that's trouble, yeah, over there. Now, okay, if e5 g4 is what Omkar asks, if he goes g4, then I think you can just take on e3, fe3, and play bishop g6. I feel like White King is asking to his army, what are you doing, guys? Do you even care about me? Do you even care that I am here in the center? Where should I go to? And it's just a bad position, like queen e8, attack the rook, h5 is hanging, queen e5 could come. At the end, black will be better, bishop c5 or bishop d6, all are strong moves. No, I don't think there is a lag. What sort of lag is there? Is there a sound lag, an audio lag? I think things are back normal, yeah. Okay, so in the game I played bishop d6, but in spite of this, after rook c1, rook d g8, I was better, g4. Here I should have found this very nice move, rook into h5, because after gh I have knight e3, fe3, and bishop g3. The point being that after king d2, black has the strong move bishop f4, and black has a dominating position. You can't take because of queen d4 check, king e1, queen into f4, and this king is getting soon going to get checkmated. Knight d2, knight d5, rook g2, so many moves are coming up. Oh, sorry, knight d7, knight e5, not just knight d5. Sorry, knight d5 wouldn't be so good. Okay, so that kind of covers this up. I think there was also another game on this line, just to make sure your concepts are clear. Was, yeah, by the way, all those who are typing something and it's not going, it's because I've enabled the slow mode. Many of you just write the moves 100 times. So slow mode means you can send a message only every 15 seconds. So e4, c6, d4, d5, e5, bishop f5, h4, h5, c4, e6, knight c3, we know knight e7, bg5, dc, bishop c4, knight d7, all well known. f6, takes, bishop e3, knight b6, and here bb3 was played. We have already seen bishop d3, but bishop b3 was played. And now in this game, which I had recommended you to check, which is Karpov, Magambadals versus Karpov, nbd5 was played. I think in this position, queen d7 would not be the best because of knight g3 move, and you may have some troubles. But first nbd5, and now my opponent, if you go knight g3, I can take on e3, fe3, and play bishop g4. That's the point behind playing knight bd5. So bishop d5 was played in the game, and here I thought for quite some time. I don't know why, and I got somehow confused, but I took on d5. He took, and here is one question: what should black play. See, these are the moments which improve your understanding of this opening. Should you take with the c pawn? Should you take with the e pawn? Should you take with the queen? That is the question. Black to move. And I went wrong in this game. I was very upset. ED5 says Kushal. Okay. Kushal Chess says ED5. Ryan Rajesh says CD. Ilam Parthi ED. Vatsal Queen D5. Avyaya Bhatt Queen D5. Dilip Kumar Queen D5. Manaswin Queen D5. Suryan Sharma Queen D5. Very good. All those who say Queen D5, you have a better feel at the Caro Kann than me. This is the perfect move. And next move, I can just long castle. I thought I might get hit by knight c3 at some point unnecessarily. I shouldn't do this. But let's say a move like castles or say knight f4. Then I give a check here. King f1. Long castle, and it's just better. Don't worry about losing a pawn like h5. This is not a... First of all, here it doesn't work tactically because takes bishop d3 and you lose the queen very nicely. But still, you shouldn't be afraid of losing that pawn. So queen d5, castles, knight f4, queen b5. And I believe black is better in this position. In the game, I played ed5, but after knight f4, bg4, queen c2, bishop b4 check, king f1, queen d7. In the end, I had to exchange the queens and somehow this game ended in a draw. But if I had taken here with the queen, I think I would have been just better. Okay, so I think you become masters in this line with knight e7, dc4, knight d7 and f6. Okay. Now let's go to the next game. This is now, before we move to knight f3, bishop e2, I just want to talk about d4, d5, e4, c6, d4, d5, e5, bishop f5 and knight c3. And my basic recommendation here is to just keep one thing in mind, that white is going to come at you with all his pawns and pieces. What you should do is you must try to counter attack. You mustn't go passive. If you go passive, you will be hit. So that's the reason why you play first of all e6, and now he goes g4, you go bishop g6 here. The reason you can't play e4 is obvious, like he'll just pick up with his knight. So first bishop g6. Now white plays the move knight g2. And this is my first question to you. How should black play in this position? Remember what I just told you. Shouldn't get pushed back. You must retaliate. So how should black play? Jalpa Sangvi, shout out to you. Guys, all those who are asking which application I'm using Chessbase 15. All of those who are serious about chess should get it. Chessbase 15. Kushal Chess, very good. Sanal Joy. Yeah, 1, 2, 3 Sicily. It's the Shirov system, so it's going to be very aggressive. H5 is possible in this position, what Ilam Parthi says. But I think Ilam Parthi after knight h7, knight f4. Yeah, I mean, it's not bad because it's playable, but I would prefer first to play the move c5 here. c5 attacks the center, and then if he goes h4, Then you play h5 as always to meet h4 with h5, and now knight f4. And this is usually how white tries to scare black. White says to black, okay, you want to take on d4, take it. I'm going to take on g6, fg6, and then I'm going to play a move like, I don't know here, knight b5 or knight e2, or just take on d4 with the queen, and then I'm going to develop my bishop here, attack your pawn on g6, and you are going to have trouble. And so what black plays here is the critical move. If you know these ideas, you'll be able to navigate these systems better. Black to move here after knight f4. What to play? Black to play. Yes, Turkey TT0, you are an expert. So very good, Ilam Parthi. Very good quality 959. All Caro Kann experts here. Harsh Pandit, very good, very good. Kushal Chess, excellent, excellent. I'm very happy with this class here. Very classy people. Suryan Sharma, excellent. McMohan, right. Chaitanya Kapoor as well, you are right. The move is bishop h7. You just give up the pawn on h5. It's okay, take the pawn. And now I'm just going to develop knight to c6. And if he takes here, what should you play? Black to move. Once again, how should black continue? This pawn is hanging, this pawn is hanging. How should you continue? Black to play. Yeah, 95 is what many of you are suggesting, but I believe 95 is not so good, because after knight into e5, white gets exactly what he wants. Check first of all. Now you must go back to c6, and now a move like, say, something bishop g5 is one move, bishop g5, f6, bishop e3, or you can play straight away queen e2, and you will see that this is exactly what white wanted. He'll play bishop g5, he'll long castle. He has this piece activity. Shiro would love such, and sacrifices on d5, e6, somewhere they will come and you will be in trouble. So your plan is to keep these pawns secure, keep it solid, and therefore the right move is bishop into c5. Good job, all those who said bishop c5, because it may seem that you are giving up the g7 pawn, but the problem is after king f8, once again king is pretty safe here, and after knight h5 you are getting a lot of counterplay with d4. Then the queen can jump to d5, knight e5 could be hanging. So many things will work out in black's favor, and this position is, I would say, better for black. So keep these things in mind. Like whenever your opponent tries to come at you in these lines, you break the center first, develop your pieces quickly. Whenever possible, give up a pawn or two, because mainly you have a great structure in the position and you will get very good chances. So make sure you play that. Okay, so that's, I mean, I can spend hours and hours trying to explain you how knight c3 is, but I have faced it only twice in my 8 years of chess career, and it's somehow white players are not playing it too much. Whenever they play it, you just go e6 and then later break with c5 at the right moment. Okay, now someone said this move, yeah, like bishop d3. Now, for example, for me, I have never prepared this move as such, but if someone plays, like I think Sumed had played with me online in one of the morning sessions, then I go e6, and at one point I had been taught this idea, which is like when the queen is on d3, you can play a check and put the queen on a6. So just as an example, let's say knight f3, check, bishop d2, and queen a6. And my point is that if you exchange the queens, I will take with the knight, and we reach a kind of mid end game kind of a position where I will break with c5 and I'll have a nice position. And if you play something like queen e3, avoiding queen exchange, then I'm just cutting across and your king cannot castle on the short side. Also a2 would be under pressure, so you can't castle long. Well, a position like this is seriously quite okay. I mean, there's no real issues for black here. And try to develop your pieces, and then right moment play c5, knight c6, maybe close it with c4, push b5, b4, and so on. Yeah, like the London queen a4, queen a3. Yes, that's what could be a good example, like a similar example. But that's how I play. But in general, if you don't want to play it that way and you want to play just c5, also completely fine. Just put your knight on c6 and develop further. Okay, so bd3 I don't see as a big issue actually in such position. In fact, h4, h5, bishop d3 is kind of becoming one of the major openings. But after takes, and e6, once again you can do the same plan like here and come to a6, and should be good for black. John Wong says Nimzowitsch, Capablanca, New York. Okay, interesting. Let me check it out. Nimzowitsch, Kappa, New York. One second, I have found the game. Just trying to get it. Because there were, I think, a couple of games they played in the New York. Yeah. Nice. Thank you, John Wong, for this suggestion. I'm going to just show you guys briefly this game. So it was different. It went bishop d3 directly. Take, queen takes, e6. Sorry, knight c3 was e6. Knight c3 was played in the game. Queen b6, knight e2, c5, dc, bishop c5, castles, knight e7, knight a4, queen c6, knight c5, queen c5, bishop e3, queen c7, f4, and yeah, here I remember this. He managed to play this pawn to h5, g6. He played it, and then he went from the other side and was able to checkmate. Yeah, very nice game actually. This one, h5, yeah, g5, castled, and then got his pieces to the king side from the other end. Famous game, yeah. Okay, nice. So coming back now to the main position, I think we've looked at e4, c6, d4, d5, e5, bishop f5. We looked at g4. We looked at h4 moves, h4, h5, and then c4. I think there's one line which I have particular worries about, and which I'm going to share with you, and you can try to think about it a little bit more seriously. This one is my game with Zwirs Nico in the D-Run Open. h4, h5, c4, e6. So all of this you know. Knight c3, knight e7. And until now, we have been discussing the move bishop g5 for white. But now knight g2. This is the move which I believe is perhaps quite accurate. And so I would like you to spend some time here in your opening preparation and try to figure out what should you do. Because in the game I played bishop g4, which I had prepared as a sideline. I don't like it actually anymore. I don't think it's a good move. I had once taken the pawn on c4 against Ashwin Jairam, and then after knight g3 I had played b5, and I had actually won this game with an extra pawn. But I still feel that this is not so good for black. Maybe bishop g5. It somehow feels not the right way to play this position. Like you're playing with black, you are behind in development, you're snatching a pawn, then you're trying to defend it. I mean, white can create play with a4, he can jump with his knights. I mean, it's not so comfortable for me. So I think knight d7 is the best move in this position, although I have never really played too many games with this. But if you do face this, then knight d7 and then knight g3, and you play bishop to g6. Bishop g5 is again the main move here, and queen to b6. I think there was this game Tej Kumar. No, I don't think. Ashwin Jairam versus Tej Kumar was one game, but not in the same line. But yeah, you have Firuza Artemiev, many games at the top level where this is being played. So tread carefully here. Like rook c1, you may have to pick up this pawn on b2 at some point, or you may have to take on c4, and it's kind of complex position. So be careful here. This is a line where I want to ask you guys to spend some time and do your own research here. f6 might also be possible, completely possible. Okay, now we come to knight f3, which is the main move, and we will be discussing it in great depth tomorrow. But I want to just show you a couple of ideas which will be very useful to you. So e6 is what I have always chosen in this position. And now after bishop e2, what do you think should black play here? How should black continue in such a position? Black to move. Knight d7, yes. Knight e7, so many different ways to play. But you know, when I was beginning to play this system, I always used to play the move c5, and I thought it's the most natural move. Over the years I have realized that this may not be the most accurate way to play in the position. So then what I'm going to recommend you tomorrow is knight d7 here. And my idea is, the setup which I like very much is bishop g6 back, knight h6, knight f5, bishop e7, castle. This is what I'm going to recommend you tomorrow to play. It's a solid system with two breaks in hands. One is f6 and another one is c5. These are the two ways in which you can break the center. But well, when I was starting out, I used to play c5, and this is my game against Amardeep Bartake, who plays a lot with the advanced variation against Caro Kann. Castles, knight c6 I played. He played the move c3. So he took back, and now what is the move that okay, I first played knight g7, which is just developing. My idea is very clear. I want to play bishop g4 and put my knight to f5. So let's say nc3 is played, then I would go bishop g4, and then let's say he goes h3, then I take and I play knight f5 and I attack this pawn. Then next move I go queen b6 and I put another attack, and this is how you play. So generally this is how you should get your play, and I guess experienced players in the Caro Kann would never take back here with c pawn. They would go for more fluid structures with knight d4 and so on, you know, like, but okay, cd4 seems fine, and then knight e7. So my opponent played here the move h3, and he said to himself that now I'm stopping bishop to g4. So what do you think should black play here? Black to move. Black to play. How do you continue? Yes, very good, Ilam Parthi. Very good. Excellent. Bishop to e4. And the idea is that now you place your knight to f5 and you still continue the attack. My opponent played knight d2. I played knight f5. And here he went for an aggressive move g4. If he would have taken on e4, I would take back and then I would take on d4, and I think black is just winning. So g4, I went now knight h4. This is always very right way to continue, like knight h4. But I think I should have perhaps considered knight e7 back with the idea of h5 later on and knight g6, because after knight h4 my opponent had an opportunity to take here, queen takes, knight e4, d e4, and although it seems like black is the one who's on the attack by attacking this pawn and h5 coming up, it is actually white who defends it and also looks at this pawn. And it turns out that black is in trouble here. So I shouldn't have gone this way, knight h4. I should have come back, knight f e7, and black is doing fine. So knight h4, he played queen to a4, which I did not like as such, because I took on f3. I should have taken with the knight, by the way, and then after knight f3 played a important move, which I'm not going to, because I want to ask you the question. Knight f3, bishop f3, and here, okay, let's look at it this way. Knight f3. How should black play here? Black to move. I played bishop f3, but how should black continue in such a position? Black to play. It's a very common idea when your opponent has pawns on h3, g4. How do you attack? f6, Avyaya Bhatt, not bad. It's a decent move, but I would go for something stronger. Yes, very good, Turkey TTO. TT0. Kushal Chess, very good. Ilam Parthi, Nihilesh, Jalpa Sangvi, Kaushik Samoy, Jaslin Singh, Suryan Sharma, very good. The right move is h5. Once you put your pawn on h5, you soften up the king side. It's already bishop g5, bishop e7. Okay, h4 is also not bad here in this position, but I go bishop e7, h4, and then queen b6, attacking the d4 pawn. I'm threatening to take and take on d4 with the queen. So bishop e3, sorry, here bishop e3, and now I can just take the pawn, and it looks risky, but till you have the bishop controlling the b2 b1 square, you can just snatch this pawn and run back, and black is winning. Okay, so good work, guys. In the game I took knight f3, bishop f3. I played queen h4, which was not a great move. He played king g2, and now I created the attack in the same way with h5, bishop e3. I took on g4, bishop takes g4, and now black to move and get a winning position. Only move that wins for black. I was very proud of finding this move, and also this was played in Don Bosco tournament in Mumbai. It was a rating event, and there was this famous attacker. His name is Neelkantan. He's no more, passed away in 2016, and he had finished his game, and he was just on my table. You know, he was around 65 years old at that point. He was just standing there looking at the game because he was enjoying it so much. There was this attack boiling up, and I was so honored by that game. That's why, by his gesture of standing there, that's why this game remains a big memory in my mind. So black to move. Yes, there is a speech of Modi, Prime Minister Modi right now, so that's the reason why a lot of people went away. But well, very soon we'll stop this, and you can also watch it. Very good. All those who said the move f5, very good, excellent job, guys. This is the only move that gives you an advantage, and the point being, if the bishop moves, h3 is hanging, so you must take, and then I take back with the g pawn, and you can't take on e6 because I hope you spotted this move, queen e4, winning the bishop. And otherwise, next move I will play f5, and yeah, that's what happened in the game. I first played king e7, f5, queen into b7, bishop e7, and although he could win a piece, his king was just getting checkmated very soon, so he resigned here, and that was a nice win for me. So this is one of the games which turned out very well for me in general, and apart from this, I think we should, there's one last game that I want to show you guys to help you understand this system better. This was again against Himanshu Sharma, who is now a GM. At that point he was an IM, and this was one of my first games in the Caro Kann. 2010, e4 c6 d4 d5, e5 bishop f5, knight f3 e6, bishop e2, and I was playing c5. I was not thinking much. My opponents were playing c3, and I was very happy to take, and then I used to go knight g7, knight c3. I would pin the knight and then play knight f5. I'll tell you tomorrow why this system entirely is not the best, but you see, black's play is very logical. Usually in the French, this bishop is over here on c8, and black is always struggling. But when the bishop is on g4, you can just, you know, take on f3 at the right moment and put pressure here. It's so much fun. So knight e1, I took, queen e2, and I played f6. Actually, here, now that I look at it, I might go for moves like rook c8, queen b6. Looks much better. At that point, I was a little bit like, he may go g4, f4 at me, but it doesn't really affect. Like, for example, if I go rook c8, g4, knight h4, then he goes f4, and there's a lot of attack that could come. But I just take, and then let's say after queen e3, I go queen b6, and you will see that I have a lot of pressure in the position, and it's not so easy to defend everything. Like rook d2, I can already start creating play with bishop b4, knight a5, knight c4, and so on. And I think black is doing really well. So castles in the game, I played f6, not bad. He played knight f3. I took knight e5, knight e5, d e5, queen c7, e5 is hanging. He went bishop c1. Of course, he doesn't play f4 here because of knight e3, f3, bishop c5, which is losing. So he played bishop c1, but already after rook c8, black has a clear advantage. I mean, it's a dream position for any Caro Kann player. I went on to draw the game, but I think I was winning in the rook endgame. But it just shows the power of this system, which is very logical. You first hit the center with c5, then you bring your knight, then you take on d4, and most of the times, players are like, oh, I must keep my center strong, so I must take here. But if you play with experienced players, here knight c6, they will play the move bishop e3, and then when you take, they will take with the knight here, and you really can't take on e5, because after say bishop b5 check, knight d7, knight f5, ef5, queen d5, it's already a completely winning position for white. So that's the reason why knight d4, and then you go something like knight d2, knight f3. This way of playing the position gives white, so basically castling is an inaccurate move. You first go knight bishop e3, knight c6, knight, no, if you play knight here, dc5 is coming up, so you must take first on d4, knight d4, knight e7, knight d2, knight c6, and knight f3. This is the line which kind of gives white a very pleasant position. I think there are many games in this line which you can check it out, and scores well for white. Also here after knight e7, I believe that there are other possibilities which may be good, like castles, and then if knight to c6, white can play bishop b5, which is again scoring well for white. So in general, when you start going deeper into this, you realize that taking on d4 with the piece is important. You need dynamism in the position. But when you play against players who are not very experienced, I mean, Himanshu Sharma is experienced, but he played c3 and then he took with the pawn, and this pawns which look strong are actually very weak. And then I can always go like knight e7, bg4, knight f5, and attack here. So that's how this is. This system with c5 was my first initial outing against knight f3, bishop e2, but then I realized that I need to change very quickly, and then I came up with this slow maneuvering game with knight d7, bg6, knight h6, knight f5, bishop e7, and castles, and then I would slowly break. And it seems like passive, but when it breaks, you have so much solidity that the opponent is pushed back. And this is what I want you to learn, and this is what we'll see tomorrow. But I hope that you understood all that is taught here, and I hope that it's actually quite complex, these systems, so I have to explain a lot of things to you, but I hope that you are understanding it well. Shiv Shom says, Sagar, just a suggestion, your sessions are amazing. I recommended your videos to a cousin and he loved it too, but he's behind me for sending PGN of your game lessons. Please try it. Thanks. Shiv, when we had this camp with Kramnik and Gelfand teaching the young talents of Indian chess, they were all asking them, please give us PGN, please give us PGN to Kramnik and Gelfand. And what Kramnik said was, look at those videos again that are being captured, and then try to make your own notes. The aim is not to get the notes. The aim is to become better at the opening. So if you are going to anyway work hard and get better at the opening, This is what you should aim at, not that, oh, I have all the notes and keep it with you. So that's why I would say watch these sessions again and make your own notes. That would be the best. Yeah. Mayur says, thank you, Sagar. Great session, but I need to review this as my brain went to sleep before the end of session. Please unmod me. Thank you. Well, Mayur, as you say, I will do. Thank you for being there for the moderator in this session. Caro Kann or French being closed. Do you advise these for below 1200? Well, in general, I don't advise for rating wise. If you want to play, like, go for e4 e5, go for e4 c5, but in general, I mean, you can learn these things, you can understand the ideas behind it. Once you know all the openings, you know, you will become a better player. These sessions here are not very theory intensive, but ideas intensive. You know, you learn what the ideas are. So that's the main aim of these sessions. Okay, so tomorrow we'll finish off this Caro Kann Advance, and slowly we progress into the Sicilian territory, and we go on. I think there will be a session with Surya Ganguly very soon again, before he gets the next guest on his show. But we will now have regular sessions in the afternoon for openings, afternoons or evenings. We'll decide a time. But thank you all for joining in. It was great fun. Do like this stream. Do subscribe to Chess India if you haven't done so already. And I'll see you soon. Take care, guys. For all those who learned very, very diligently, I'm very grateful to all of you. Bye bye.